Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching TV Asia, and this is the time. Today, we are from the Queensland. It's 6:16 p.m., 9th of July, and today is a Friday, and this Friday is our weekly show time. What is the name of the weekly show? The Great Debate. And I'm the director of the debate, Shoaib Zaidi, and this is your TV Liking TV Asia. Today in Great Debate, we will going to discuss a different topic, but it is important for youth, for youngs. And I'm very happy that we already divided the team A and team B. But before going to the team, I like to announce that, okay, what topic was going to be discussed today and what we are going to learn from our youth, for our young male and females. And yes, today I use the word for female because we are having a female participant also in our show. And that's why we have a complete youth today, young debater we have. And before starting, I remember my mentor, Dr. Malik, sometime he mentioned that don't build a business. Don't try to build a business, build the people. And people will build a business for you. And now we would like to see that are we going to support the people or are we going to support the business? Let's start the shop. And I like to introduce the team A. Team A, the first participant from the team A, Carter Stephen. He is passing out from the Brisbane Boy College, one of the great debater, and he's participating since the last two shows with us. And every time, whenever he has a topic, he spends a good time and he brings something new for our viewers and listeners. Supporting Carter Stephen, he has another supporter from his college, Brisbane Boy College. Yes, I'm talking about Ali Nasar. Ali Nasar also going to be graduate from the Brisbane Boy College this year. So this team is going to be team A. And let me introduce the team B. Team B, we have a special guest. The female participant, she joined us today, and she is Dolly Schimar, and she is the first time participating in Great Debate. And we believe in my language, poet said this world cannot be possible without the female. It is true, absolutely true, that every time when we would like to go successful, we need the help of the female. And that's why it is also mentioned that for every successful man, there is a support of the female. That's why we have opportunity that today we have a Dolly with us. And with Dolly, team B, we have another participant who always speak very nicely. Last show, he was tremendously outspoken and wonderful information he bring. I'm talking about the Christopher Malik. And he is also graduating from the Churchy, one of the best school and college in Queensland. And this is the introduction of the team. And it is honestly and fair to inform you that still we did not decide which team going to be talk about what support and what topic. And I decided that because Dolly was engaged or involved or invited at the last time because of the some issue with the Shah Farhan, and he's not able to join us. That's why we requested Dolly to join and make our team stronger. So I like to give the opportunity to Dolly to decide which team is going to support which topic today, either team A or team B going to support the topic. So Dolly, I'm starting from you, not debate, just talking, just lying to give you opportunity. You have to decide in this show which team is going to talk for what topic.
Hi, thank you so much for having me tonight. I think that Team B should support business and Team A support employment.
Okay, I got you. Okay, so the results are there. Everyone get ready. So we are going to talk about business and employment. Yes, you are absolutely right. Whatever you heard, it is true. We are going to talk about the business and employment. And I can speak so much about the business and employment. And again, but this is not my show. This is a show for my young ones, my future ones. And we know that our youth is our future. Team A, you are going to talk about the employment, and team B going to talk about the business. Normally, it is also possible that the business people get the first opportunity to talk about business, but I'm not going to do this. I'm going to start with the employment, and I'm going to talk to the Carter Stephen. Carter, I think the draw is already there, and it's very fair. I think whatever Dolly choose for her team, I believe they might ready for this one. So Carter, your time start now, sir. What you are going to say to our viewers and listener, why we should support the employment, not the business.
Absolutely. First of all, I just like to thank you, Mr. Zaidi, for having me on this very great, impactful, and positive show. So I have a couple of points I would like to cover. So firstly, we know that employees receive a regular and timely cash flow. Business owners don't. This is one big benefit of working as an employee. You work all month knowing how much money you can expect to receive at the end of the month. This means that you can plan your savings and expenses accordingly without the uncertainty of a fluctuating income. Secondly, employees have less responsibility compared to business owners. In employment, you are often assigned a particular role and are only responsible for performing the tasks that are directly related to that role whilst you are working. You don't need to interfere or worry with how other people are performing across the company, as you will still receive your salary as long as you complete all the tasks that are expected and outlined for your individual role. Thirdly, employees receive company provided benefits. Employees have to provide their employees with certain amenities such as healthcare or insurance. Employees can rest easy that their health will be taken care of by their employer. Business owners, on the other hand, have to plan these expenses and arrange funds on their own. Fourth, employees have fixed work timings. Business owners don't. A great benefit of being an employee is that you're expected to work for a fixed amount of hours. Your work starts at a particular time and you get off at a certain time every day. This makes it easier for people with other responsibilities to manage and utilize their time, especially parents. My fifth point is that employees can receive leave benefits. Leave benefits or holidays are the times available each year for the employee to have some time out and enjoy paid time when they are not working for their employer. They may take a holiday or choose to work on their personal relationships, hobbies, exercise, or simply rest. These periods of holiday can give employees the chance to really take stock of their lives and refresh themselves. This means that when they return to work, they'll have more focus and energy to complete their daily tasks with a new vigor and satisfaction. My last point is this: there is a defined working structure. When you go to work, you know with reasonable certainty what needs to be done every day. You may or may not like your boss, but there is a certain level of comfort which comes from being able to plan out your week with confidence. Thank you.
Very good, very well explained all the area, very quick. I think you did not leave anything for Ali Nasar to say something, but still he has to say something. But I'm not going to do Ali Nasar. I'm going to give the opportunity not to Christopher also, because I know he's very well prepared for the business. Because the Dolly has chosen the opportunity to talk about the business. So I like to go to the my time round to the Dolly. Dolly, Carter, he really mentioned very good point for the employment, and I think there was 80% very positive. I find 20% that I can debate with him, but I like to see that when the crosstalk round will come, does somebody going to give hard time to the Carter for his explanation? But this is your time, Dolly, and I like to know from you that why do you think the business is the best choice? Your time start now.
Well, first off, if there isn't a business, then how is there going to be employment? And when you own a business, you are your own boss. So you decide your own schedule, you choose your workspace, you decide your employees, who you're going to keep, and if someone's on task or someone's like distracting the other workers, that's on you to get rid of that problem because you are the boss. You use your skills throughout the business to improve it. You can make your workspace depending on however you feel like it's working for you and how you would need it. After a couple of months of like trying to set up the business, there comes a stage where you are in control of everything that goes on. And during that gives you the opportunity to improve on what you already have. You can build on what you have, and then you can change things up a bit. You know, you can add more opportunities for people. You can provide more employment opportunities. There's more flexibility in your work because now you have a stable business. Right. So it really just depends on. So it really just depends on your workspace.
Right, right. Okay, I understand. Dolly, you also highlight a very good point, but I think in debate we would like to explain it a bit more. I know that this opportunity will come to the Christopher, not now. He might have something more, but again, business is a different kind of concept, and you already mentioned most of the things. Ali Nasar, how do you think that what area? I don't mind. Look, first of all, it's to my viewers and to my team. We are not going to say wrong or right. We are going to say that because we give you the choice, not your choice. You did not prepare for this one. Like, okay, this is our choice that we like you to talk about this. So there is nothing wrong or right, number one. So you are the best. You are the best. The second part is that we would like to give out of the box concepts to people like you. They can't speak, they can't do anything, but they would like to know. So that's why you can explain same thing, but in other words, there is no problem. So Ali Nasar, this is your time. Why do you think the employment is the better choice in front as compared to the business?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Firstly, thank you very much for having me, Mr. Zaidi. And I would also like to thank TV Asia for having me. As you said, Carter covered most of the reasons. I reckon he spoke really well. But just to start with, I would like to say a few facts about self-employment. So around the world, more than 54% people are employed on average. So there's a high percentage of people who are employed, and people aren't just dumb. There must be a reason. So the three facts that I'm going to say is that in 2019, 53.8% of the self-employed in the world reported having just one client or a dominant client. Secondly, around the world in 2018, 61.3% of the self-employed declared that their client had control over their working times. And lastly, in 2019, 1 in 3 of the economically dependent self-employed wished to work as an employee. So those facts should basically cover the whole topic, how it gives you the point of view from the people who have their own business, and the majority are saying that that the people, the customers, the client are having more control over them. They don't have much control, and one or a dominant client is basically in charge of their pay or their wages. Further than that, I could name many reasons why I think you should be employed rather than self-employed. But I wanted to talk about a bit of the cons of self-employed. So firstly, I think you can say goodbye to benefits. As Carter said, that benefits such as paid vacations, leaves, maternity or paternity leaves, health and life insurance are for regular employees only. And this could cost you a lot. Though there are some other contracts who offer benefits, but they are very rare. Secondly, less secure of tenure. The freedom you can enjoy with self-employment comes also with the threat of less projects. And what does less project mean? Less project means less payment, and that won't make it very good, would it? Lastly, collecting and invoicing is your own responsibility. When you're self-employed, you usually send an invoice to get paid. The payment schedule is irregular, unlike a paycheck that is scheduled regularly. So there are also a few cases that you won't get paid on time, or much worse, you never get paid at all. So those are basically the cons that I would like my audience to think about when thinking about self-employed.
Right. Very well. Very good. I think the team A explained and supported the employment wonderfully. Now, going back to the Christopher. Christopher, this round is my time round. So don't try to make it the cross question round. You will get the chance.
Yeah.
If anybody who try to make this round as a cross question round, he will lose the point. And the next shows, I start doing the negative marking. Try to explain your only point of view that why do you think the business is the best point? Why I'm doing these exercises? Because I like you, my team, to understand it. That once you are in a show or once you are in a public speaking, you must present there and think what exactly they are expecting. So I'm expecting from you to justify only your point of view why you're supporting there. This is not the time that you're going to talk to somebody else's point of view. Okay, start now, Christopher.
All right. Thank you very much for having me today. I think it's a great opportunity to speak on this topic. I don't think Dolly did anything bad. She certainly set a good foundation for what our case is.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of the misconceptions around flexibility and dependency on the job actually go towards our side. So what do we believe? What sort of outlines this debate, right? It's what is better for the employee or the person who is in this position. And so for those reasons, we think we have the better side of the debate. When you are self-employed or when you are having a business, there's a lot of things open to you, right? This is independence in how you work, growth in your career, which is essentially limitless. There's no capped potential. For example, if you're working in a corporate chain as a low-level employee, there's only so far you can go within a year or 6 months or whatever that time period is. And generally, getting to the top of that chain, climbing to the top of the corporate ladder, is something that takes more time, and reaching that earning potential is something that will take more time than if you were self-employed. Secondly, the increased independence with how you operate, right? This is an obvious benefit for us. If you're able to function more as your own, this is going to allow you to make better decisions and increase your standard of living. This is things you buy, things you purchase, and essentially your earning potential. Additionally, this idea of high risk, high reward pays off immensely. This is something that just isn't in the opposition side, right? The high risk element of making any sort of investment or taking any sort of opportunity is always yielding a high reward aspect, which we see as only our side of the debate. Additionally, we also get flexible working hours, right? So this is as simple as, creating your own business is allowing when you want to stay open, when you want to work. And, it doesn't even have to be a business. It can be a singular person investing in stocks or diversifying their portfolio. This doesn't have to be their strictly source of income, which I think is important to denote in the entire debate. As I said before, the potential to earn more is always going to be on our side of the debate, right? There's essentially no roof and no cap as to how much you can earn. Whereas if you were to go into a corporate chain or a corporate company, there are clear guidelines and limits on how much you can earn, regardless of those including benefits or not, which I'll refer to in the Crossfire Round. Additionally, we also get the idea of change and exploration. Essentially, you are allowed to navigate your business in which ways the market sees, right? Living in a capitalist market-driven economy, our opportunities as a business and as a corporation, whatever you may be the head of or owning, you're essentially catering to the market because that is the way you will earn your income. If you are simply chained to a corporate company that is making its own decisions, regardless of your job security, that company will sink. This is something you can clearly avoid on our side of the house, where when you do have your own company, you're able to quickly adapt to the market, regardless of what some kind of boss above you thinks. And I think what's most important to denote is the business side are for the people that are creators of their own destiny. And look, not everyone wants to be self-employed and not everyone wants to be employed. There's always going to be those people that like those strict, rigid timetables and people that want to have their own freedom. But what we're saying is for those people on the fence, it is without a doubt clear that you should at least make some sort of an attempt to start a business or be self-employed in any aspect of your life. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I think you're absolutely right that Dolly has done a good foundation work, and you build a very good house on that foundation. That's very clear to this. Now, let's, as I told you, look, because this is a presidential debate, and people are watching you and following you. So, what we are expecting that when you talk something, it ultimately having a mature impression. So, which we are doing today. Now, coming back to the crossfire round, and again, as I give the opportunity to the female first, so again, I'm going to give this opportunity to female first. Dolly, I'm going to give you the opportunity to make a question from Ali Nasar, whatever he discussed about the supporting the employment, or you can add something from your end. If you don't write anything from his talk, you can add something from your end to ask Ali Nasar that why do you think that this is not a disadvantage of employment? Dolly.
So when you run a business, you are in the driver's seat of everything that happens. However, when you are employed, you need to listen to someone ahead of you. The people who are employed, the stress levels of them are higher than many of the other people that you could ever imagine, because the people who are in charge of it, they look after it. So why is it that if employees, there are more employees, why are employees the most stressed over businesses?
Ali, yeah.
I feel like it's the opposite. Because when you have your own business, there's so much more things to consider than where you're employed. As I said, you'll be more stressed because you don't get vacation leaves, you don't get health and life insurances. What happens if you don't have projects, or you have less projects? And less projects means that where's the payment going to come in through? So I feel like with stress, if you're talking about, if you're saying that there's more stress for a person who's employed rather than self-employed, I genuinely 100% think, and I think Chris would agree with me that being employed is way less stress than to being self-employed.
Right. Okay, I think a short question and short and sweet answer, but we still have a two good speaker and two good debater, because Team B, Dolly from the Team B has raised the question first. So this time Team A, Crossfire from Carter, is coming back to the Christopher Malik. Carter, what do you think? Look, be gentle, as we are very gentle. So we don't like to be personalized. We like to, because don't forget that people are learning from you. You are the best at this time. For me, if somebody says you are the best people, I can learn from them. You are bringing so many things, even though these topics were discussed in past also and will be discussed in future. But I don't mind that you people simply bringing actual feelings there. Okay, Carter, you are going to have a cross question from Christopher Malik. Again, as I told earlier, it's not necessary that you have to ask or challenge his view of thinking. You can raise any question against of his thought.
Yeah. So am I asking the question here?
Yes, please.
Okay. So to Christopher, what do you say to self-employed women who decide to that during the course of, say, their year they have become pregnant? What do you say to self-employed women who would like to look after their baby? Where is their security of income? Where are they going to get money from? Because if they're self-employed, they're the ones who make money. So I'd say for at least a good month, probably even 2 months, when someone's had a baby and afterwards, they wouldn't be able to work. So where are they going to get their next paycheck from?
Oh, that's a great question. And to be honest, I think it's important to acknowledge it's a highly specific situation, but I'll answer it nonetheless. Obviously, these decisions are all part of a life plan, right? You obviously don't engage in having a baby unless you are financially secure, which I think most of our educated population, especially within Western countries, are commonly aware of. Beyond that, financial security is not always dictated by having a simple income stream, right? I think there's a lot of employed people who are investing and diversifying their portfolios, especially with the expensiveness of cryptocurrencies and a new resurgence in stock investing, and a general awareness amongst the population, I think, is all beneficial towards this. But to answer your question, I do generally think this is a very, very specific situation. But the answer is, if you're having a baby, you're more than likely to be, taking this situation into account and looking at your financial security from there.
Do you think your question is answered? For me, yes. Carter?
I wouldn't say it's been fully answered. It's just, I wouldn't say it's a specific question either, just mainly because of the fact that
I will come back to you. Take your seatbelt tight, and I'm coming to you. So now coming back to the team B A again, because team B and team A. Now Dolly already asked the question to Ali. Ali Nasar, this is your turn to have a question with Dolly.
Yes.
She already explained that why the business is the best choice.
Yeah, so my question is pretty straightforward, pretty simple. So Dolly, for a person who is not independent, doesn't prefer leadership, a person is just not he's not minded for a self-employed position. How would you convince a person, someone like that, to pursue self-employment?
Dolly, did you get the question? He says that if somebody is not mentally prepared for a business, right, Ali Nasar?
Yeah, exactly.
And how do you think that he can survive in the society?
Honestly, if you aren't mentally prepared for a business, there are many ways that you can work on that. For example, you don't necessarily have to be at the very beginning. You don't necessarily have to be at the top while you're just setting it up. And during that time, you can use that to work on your people skills, and you can use that to work on leadership. But if you're just not cut out for leadership, you think, then there are many other businesses that you can get into if you would like to get into business, but not have to be in the leadership. For example, a solution could be that you hire someone as a manager. You sit back and let someone do the work for you, but you do help guide them as to what they want to do.
But isn't that leadership then? You're leading people. You're telling them what to do. Isn't that leadership?
Yeah,
it is. So that.
Hey, can I speak a bit here on our?
I'd like to add also before Christopher add. Dolly, you have mentioned to just now that if the guy is not capable, he is going to hire a manager. It means that he is going to start the employment, not the business. Yes, Christopher, now you can add.
Yeah, okay. I think I already said this before, but just clarifying our team stance. The people who want to be employed and seek some sort of rigidity and schedule, we're not forcing them to start a business. We're mainly targeting those who are on the fence and feel a little bit scared or concerned about what they're doing, right? I think that is what we're trying to accomplish in the debate, just trying to sway the people sitting on the fence.
But for us, we're not just talking about the people who are on the fence. We're even talking about the people who want to be independent. So we've got a more majority of audience. So because if you want to be self-employed, then when you're employed, there are roles. You can be a manager, and in the hierarchy chain at the top, you're basically self-employed. So there's a whole pathway, and which provides both for people who are. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
So it's for both, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not just for one side; it's for both sides. That there's a hierarchy, and you can make it through as both. And even if you're not independent, you don't like leadership, you can stay as an employee. You can reject all the promotions and stuff. So that's basically what I'm getting at.
Ali, what Christopher has mentioned, I think, which making sense, that everyone is not designed for a businessman. This is right, Christopher?
Yeah, we're not looking to force anyone into.
Yeah. So absolutely, and the situation you mentioned, it was a good topic, additional subtopic. That when somebody is not ready, absolutely, it's a wonderful concept that how we can deal with this one. Again, the first answer is that number one, that everyone is not designed for business. That's why you are supporting employment, and they are supporting business. Coming back to you, Christopher. Christopher,
Yes.
This is the last question we have from the Crossfire Round, and you have the chance to say anything or to reject the concept or views of Carter from his talk, or you can add any question to Carter.
Just a couple things from their entire sort of case and side. Ali's made a comment before regarding whether I'd agree that there's higher stress levels within management. And I think that's perfectly true. But the fact of the matter is, money or anything you seek is not going to fall into your lap, right? This is obviously going to come at a cost, right? And so within a business format, we see that as taking on higher stress levels periodically and eventually reaping the rewards. I think that in the opposition's case, they went on a lot about dependency and security. We see this as the very chains holding the individual down from breaking that barrier and taking that extra step. So I think every single point they stated about this sort of reliable job security, I think that's also a huge misconception. The fact of the matter is, the people that are hiring at these huge rates are the ones that can easily chuck you out. You are most disposable, right? Especially considering the fact that the majority of our employed workforce is within places such as Amazon or specifically in American cases, Walmart or Walgreens. We see this as a place where you're considered disposable and can be easily kicked out. So this misconception of job security is essentially non-existent. And then I think Ali also made a point about businesses having a dominant client, right, where they are controlled by their revenue stream. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. If I'm making biscuits and my main company is Coles and they're selling my biscuits, that makes them a dominant client, but that doesn't stop me from limiting my business. This idea of one or two big clients is not a bad thing. Additionally, they also spoke about a bit of a strange point about people who are self-employed not receiving benefits. In Australian context, you are given most of your medical care through Medicare, and beyond that, you're still given opportunities for your life insurance. And while we do agree you may not get your paid leave, but the fact of the matter is, when you're at the top, taking a majority of the income, the idea of a paid leave is almost absurd. So, coming down to one question, right, to Carter. Would you want to be, for the large majority of the general workforce, would you want to be employed or self-employed in a business where you have total control over the reins?
Well, I'd like to be. So the answer to that question for me is quite simple, and that's that I would like to be employed. And I take that with wisdom, that decision with wisdom, because I don't know, I don't have all the answers to certain things to do in certain fields. So say you might be a carpenter and you're working for, say, Hutchinson's Builders. You know how to build a house, but you may not know how to get customers, or you may not know how to actually run a business, say be a CEO and look after, accounts, and sort of doing management on a mass scale. That's what a CEO is. So I would say I'd rather be employed and not have all the reins. That answers your question, because I will admit I don't know all the answers to how to run a company, say, in that industry. And I'd say most people would say that as well. I mean, you could say the same thing with a mechanic. A mechanic will know how to change a window or change a door, but they may not know how to actually run the business itself. They may just be used to rocking up at 8 and leaving at 5 in the morning. And for them, that's fine. But I would say I would want to be employed simply because of the fact that maybe better people could run the company. I think that's a wise decision to make, because I'd rather do that than run a company into the ground thinking that I know how to run it.
Good one. Here, I like to appreciate all four of you, but I like to appreciate especially to Carter. Look, the question which raised by Christopher, it was a smart question. And as I told you that don't think that what you're going to do. Always think that what you are doing on this show. I believe that the Carter is finishing from the Brisbane Boy College, and mostly from the Brisbane Boy College or Churchy College or whatever the best college, people like to have their own businesses. And maybe he's planning to have own businesses. And I was thinking that what he's going to answer it, but he really stay with his concept, whatever he been awarded, not by choice. It was from us. So I like to be it was a smart question. He rightly answered it very well. Okay, now this is a hot seat round. You guys finished wonderfully the both rounds, from the my time round and cross firing round, and very decently. That's the way, because again, to my viewers and to you, this is not your choice. This is our choice. We like you to speak for our choices. That's why maybe you not favor. So up to now, everything going perfectly. Okay, my hard time round. Hard time round is my time round. And again, we started show with the female. We started show the round with the female crosstalk round. So I don't like to give a chance to anyone else. So I'm going back to the Dolly, Schimar, and I'm asking my question. Dolly, look, absolutely the business are perfectly doing. Everyone is know that, and you already explained very well. How you can explain me that in COVID situation where we are experiencing, especially the business owner are experiencing very hard time, very difficult time, the educationals, the college owners, the many people are experiencing tough time. And the problem is what Ali Nasar says, that this is the time where employee can get the chance to have some kind of compensation through the government or through the different agencies. Unions are supporting. So there are many things that they are supporting. How do you think in this situation, business is a good choice? How you can justify that business is a good choice, especially in this system, this time?
Currently, looking at the COVID situation, business may not be the best option. But there are many other agencies, for example, JobSeeker, that will support you through this. And yes, many businesses are suffering due to the COVID issues, for example, because of lockdowns, people can't visit their business, or due to restrictions, people can't exactly enter. There are going to be difficulties always, and there's always going to be something to help support you. So you just got to look through this and look for the bright side, which restrictions are slowly easing, and they are all over Australia. So once they do, it will be a lot easier for you. And can I just add that a lot of people have lost their job. People who have been employed, they have lost their job because there's just not enough funding. And if there's not enough funding, then how are majority of the people in a lot of countries are unemployed right now, which means that they can't support their families.
Right.
So if you had your own business, you have at least some sort of income coming through, because there are companies or like support agencies such as JobSeeker who are providing you money to get through this.
Right. Dolly, I have another additional question to this one. Okay. You just mentioned about the job seeker. Who's going to receive the job seeker? Employee or a businessman?
Employee.
Employee. Okay. Who's going to receive the job keeper?
Employee.
Employee. So somehow, actually, what I'm trying to see, and I was expecting that we have to, it's a good topic where young people like you must mention that there must be some platform where business owners has to be protected as an employee. Anyway, the time will come. Coming back to the second question. So now a cross question round, going back to Carter. Carter, you did not mention, I was expecting from you that you are going to mention about that how many percentage of the world is working as an employee and how many percentage is doing the business. This is one thing. And second thing I was expecting in Australia wide also, that do you think that what is the ratio around there? I know it's different number, definitely business is a business, employment is a employment. But do you think that the area which we cover mostly today is mostly cover the female side? Your question also covered the female side. You raised the question to the female side. Ali Nasar also mentioned maternity vacation also. But do you think that from the male side, it is physically not very hard to perform a lot of work and you accountable for minute to minute? You know, this is Australia where you have to accountable for minute to minute for everything performing as per the businessman plan, not per your plan. So do you think the number one, I'm expecting that, do you have any idea what is the ratio between employment and this one, and how you think that whatever you employee is performing, it is according to the plan of a businessman, and that plan is always be tough minute to minute?
Yeah, so I don't have the current number on me.
I can help you out with that, Kara. So
Yep.
there are more than 54% of people are employed around the world on average.
Yeah, so taking that number, which I thought it would be more, mainly because to run a business you need employees. So I would say that the business environment with that number would be a little bit different in Australia, maybe because we have more support for smaller businesses, which means that they can employ, I've heard some estimates of, I know in the US a small business is up to 500 people, but I'd say it'd be a bit different here. But I'd say that basically, to answer your question, I'm not too sure with the number. I know Ali said 50%.
No problem.
And what was the second question? Sorry.
Second question was that do you think I'm coming from the stress point of view, that when it's the life is your employee, you have additional stress, and whatever you are performing as per this is you planning as per the businessman mind, and you are accountable for dot to dot, like starting this time and finishing this time and performing these things, everything according to the paper policy and procedure you are performing. Do you think it's not very hard?
I would say that, well, obviously it depends on the job, first of all, because there's obviously some jobs that require more physical exertion. So obviously if you're a concreter or a bricklayer, you're going to be putting out more physical energy, or you'll be using more physical energy to do your job compared to, say, an IT technician or an accountant. But I would say that, whether you're a business owner or an employee, in terms of males maybe having to have a harsher job, I would say there's a bit of a difference, because as an employer, you're going to be, obviously, if you own a bricklaying company, you're not going to, more often than not, you won't be laying bricks. You'll be telling people what job sites to go to, what time, what the plans are, how many bricks you're going to lay, where to buy them, that sort of thing. Whereas if you're a bricklayer, you will be doing the work. So you'll be using your physical energy to get the job done. So in saying that, obviously some industries are obviously more male dominated than others. But I would say that, so there's two parts to the question I want to answer. If you were, say, a male bricklayer, say a female bricklayer, I would say there's absolutely no difference in the physical exertion. But I would say that male or not, we're in a good position here in Australia that we have unions, and there's associations and other organisations that will ensure that businesses are doing the right thing by their workers and ensuring that workers of all genders are being looked after, that they aren't being overworked, they are being paid what they want to be paid. And I would say that I think that's why we're so lucky to live here. But I would also say that we have checks and balances to make sure that if a man is being overworked, and the same thing with a female, is that we can have organisations that will tell the managers and CEOs and bosses of these organisations and these businesses that they need to back off, and that there's also laws, work health and safety laws, around workers, you know, and I think it's just it just comes back down to having a healthy and safe working environment so that workers aren't overworked, which I think is quite a underrated problem, that there are workers being overworked. I think that hopefully that answers your question, Mr. Zaidi.
Yeah, it's a very good explanation. Actually, absolutely, we are in Australia. He already mentioned that we are lucky, and if something is happening, ultimately there is a system in place. That was wonderful explanation. Christopher Malik, business, huh? And I like to go back to you with my starting quote, which, you know, that this program is produced, the concept of this program is produced by Dr. Bernard Malik. And I refer one of the quote from him that don't build the business, build the people, and people will build your business. Now coming back to you with this is one question. And second question I would like to ask about the risk factor. Okay, this quote says, which is very true example of the business, that in the business, you are mostly depend on the employment. So employment is the main foundation of a business. So you build the people will build the business. How do you think that without people or without employment, you can build the business?
I genuinely do agree with the quote. I don't think many businesses can be built without people, but obviously there are certain fields that do not require external input. I think, as Carter said before, if you were owning a mechanics, you know, shop or whatever, and you needed certain people to come in and consult, obviously that would happen. I think it's very hard to find certain businesses and sectors that wouldn't require the assistance of other people. I think that's, and also just a bit to help. I think Dolly, I think she had a point there. There's always an environment to start things. There's a seller's market, there's a buyer market in real estate. The same thing, there's not always a market to start a business, and the environment is not always correct. Similar to what Carter said, obviously you would want to make that decision ahead of time. You wouldn't want to get pregnant if you're financially unstable. That's not a desirable situation. So, you know, take care and be aware of what is going on within the local and global economy, and then make your financial decisions based on it, because obviously starting a business is a very big thing.
Right. Second part, as I already mentioned to you, that look, being a businessman, as you mentioned also, that there is a risk factor involved, and you also mentioned that high risk, high business. Okay, but in employment sector, I think there is very less factor involved for the risk. So while you are building the business, do you think that it's really very risky, and especially nobody was prepared for the COVID? So it's really highly risk that, okay, in this situation, and look at the worldwide business people, not a single businessman was planning or thinking that this situation will arise. Now, in this situation, do you think that people are not thinking that it was not a good decision? If I had employment, that will be much better than in these days.
Obviously, if you started the business right before the COVID pandemic, I think that'd be extremely unlucky. But we also have to see that certain businesses did increase their growth after the initial set of lockdowns. Some trades and, you know, electricians, plumbers, and builders are having a huge influx of orders because people have extra cash to spend. So this may not have been as bad as they were thinking initially. Additionally, obviously the tool that we're using to talk with, Skype, it was bought by Microsoft, which stock market share price increased because of increased use. That's also the same for Zoom. I think that this provides certain adverse situations provide a unique opportunity for each business to adapt and change their strategy. As I said before, when you are the director of your own company, you're able to gauge the market and what the market requires and change your heading based on that. So do I think it was absolutely horrible for every business? No. But do I also think, was it the best time to start with this high risk? Of course not.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Last hot question from Ali Nasar. Ali Nasar, you just mentioned about the percentage number 54. which I believe it's look like very close. And as Carter also mentioned, that 54% people are employed. Correct?
Yeah. Around
So,
on average.
okay, look, if this is the number, I think then somehow it's very difficult for people like you to support the employment, because on the other hand, you can see that 46% are already supporting the business. So it means there is equal risk and equal opportunities involved in the business also. So you are on the edge. 54% and 46% is very close. So how you can justify that with a 54%? I can still just thinking that only the best option is employment. Why?
Because that was already said between me and Carter, talking about the stacks that as Chris mentioned, that you can't just be. It could be a big client or a dominant client that's helping you out. But the problem is that client has control. The 61.3% of the self-employed declared that their clients had control over their working times. So it's just not a client providing you payments and wages, but it's about they're controlling your lives, and also you don't get much benefits with it too. When I talked about paternity leave, health and life insurances, as you talked about job seeker, you don't, as a business owner, you don't get any funds from them. Also, there's less security. The freedom you can enjoy with self-employment, it also comes with what happens if you don't have projects? And less projects always mean that less payment. Where's the payment going to come from? And that's exactly what the whole debate was about. That Carter and I have stated facts, and the facts say that the self-employment is not especially at this time, is not a safer option.
So I think we would like to close our talk today. But if anyone would like to add anything which you feel that is important to know for the viewers and listeners, I'm most welcome. Anyone, you can raise your hand and I can give an opportunity. Yes, Carter first. Yeah.
So just touching on the mention that I think you mentioned it before, that about COVID and how a lot of people have, and Dolly mentioned it as well, about how people are losing their jobs because of COVID. I think in this current predicament can show sometimes just how bad, I think the situation for COVID can show just how bad it can be for employees as a result of business going down. But I would say this is that it's not during COVID. I think COVID is a good test, a good time to test how good the government's response can be. I think if the government does a good response, both business and employees can come out of this dark tunnel brighter than before. But I'd say that if the payments if the government keeps on giving out the payments, I think it'll be good for both business and employees.
Thank you. I think it's clear from everyone, and I really like to appreciate, especially my appreciation goes to Dolly, because she joined us with the short notice and she was very well prepared and she justified whatever. And again, Dolly, Christopher, Carter, and Ali, please try to understand. There is no winning and no losing. You are the winners. The reason for this one, we like to know more from you for our people and for ourselves. Sometime, and look, if you see your life of your parents and their grandparents, it goes same way. Learning. So this is the theme of basically TV Asia concept, that we would like to know that how much you learn and how can we learn from you and how can other can learn. I really appreciate Ali Nasar. I really appreciate Carter Stephen and Christopher Malik and Dolly Schimar for your preparation. I believe, viewers, that this show is one of the best show as usual. This is our third show, and I think TV Asia bring a unique show in all over Australia. Neither any channel having a show like that, where we are inviting the people and they are not prepared in advance. Their test is basically, it's not like preparation. It's like a test. Always you are on the hot seat and always you are on the test, which is they always perform very good. Thank you very much for every participant. And I believe Shoaib, Zaidi, I'm also myself is very much inspired and appreciating the efforts of my teams. And I'm very happy with my teams and with the new member also from the Dolly. It's over from Shoaib, Zaidi. It's over from TV Asia. We will meet on the next Friday, bringing some new topic with the same guest. Till then, it's a goodbye. Thank you very much, guys.